back to VCT Americas, where Sentinels is riding high off of a map 1 victory, 13-7 fashion. They only gave away 2 total rounds on the back half, and all of that, considering the conversation we were having around the strength of Loud's attacking side, Mimi, makes it that much more incredible.
I mean, it's ridiculous. This is a new composition for Sentinels, a new player coming into the mix, and they come in and they look so well prepared, so well drilled, taking a win over Loud, not just on like any map, but over one where they've been the best at.
Yeah, you can see the preparation that Kaplan and Def have put into that map alone. Their flood retakes on a defensive site, particularly at the A site, were unreal. Some of those B retakes, like the last round, or Saucy's pistol. I mean, Sentinels are firing on all cylinders right now. I don't think I've seen them play like this, but this is what I expected them to look like.
Yeah, a point made all that much more wild by, again, the reminder that Marv is in for the first time with the squad. Not only was he popping off individually, but as you just said, Sean, seemed to seamlessly slot in with the rest of the team.
That's the craziest thing to me. I did not expect Marv to look so impactful throughout this game. So many pivotal rounds, like this one going up through Link, catching those 2 kills on the side, as well as his rotations in that second half. He was all over the place throughout this game, having impact little by little, round by round.
And the timings he was taking were so perfect. You saw the reflank in that round, but on the defensive side as well, when they were going for these retakes, finding the timing to push forward, to take space for the team, it was incredible. This is Marv's first match at Tier 1 in so long, and it looked like we were watching near peak Marv again.
Yeah, while it was sweet, sweet victory here for Sentinels, I don't want to let this round 7 go unnoticed, though. On the side of Loud again, just showcasing their mastery over agents like Harbor.
Yeah, the retakes that they were playing were really good, and this is one such example, right? Sentinels puts down the lockdown, and this post plant does everything to push Loud away, and they elect to stick around, don't actually manage to break it. But then actually going for the retake is so perfect. The way they use this Harbor wall to cut off the angle that normally people are jumping up and down and spamming from is great. And on top of that, they're also going to throw this Viper Molly as well to pressure those players forward, try and force them to fight through the wall, as Cowanzi is just flashed and is swinging, fighting forward, providing cover for his teammates defusing in the cove.
As there's Sky Flashes going, Cloudburst going on the diffuser, Tui's hiding while he's diffusing. There's so many little things that Louder's doing well in those retakes. But Sentinels didn't even allow it to get to those scenarios a lot of the times. That was one of the few and far between times that Loud had those big, utility-based retakes set on Sentinels. Sentinels did a good job of keeping the numbers and util low for those late rounds.
And once it got to the second half, Loud was actually doing a lot more of their executes ending towards the A site, which was kind of unusual. Normally, they're putting a lot of emphasis on mid in the mid round, then late executing into B, but they were constantly going for these A hits, and Sentinels, like you were talking about, did such a good job of providing so much pressure onto those site execs and then winning in the flood retakes. That's how they won, I think, 3 pivotal rounds in the second half.
And sometimes just straight up winning it in the pre-take, right?
Yeah.
Like that's I think the interesting thing for me, Sean, is the adjustment here against a team like Loud, who has shown a really high level in post plants, is that many times Sentinels was just challenging them before the plant would go down.
There was even a round, we were commending Pancata for hitting a 1-shot from dugout, and then he just recedes back into spawn on defense. And it was like Saucy and Pancata knew that Loud were going to contact walk up Flower and dugout. It is such an insane read from the 2 Brazilians, but having been previously in Loud, maybe it's something they can kind of guess that's going to happen in that 5-on-4 scenario.
That's 6th sense.
Yeah, the reads were there for this team. And on top of that, the coordination was so impressive for a team that was slotting a new player in really last minute. They were super patient in the way that they would kind of hold up for a second, then go for the flood retake together. And on top of that, Saucy's utility was so good. We've hyped this guy up a ton for being fantastic on the initiator. But Sky is still something relatively new for him, and he played out of his mind.
Now, it's a general rarity that we're even talking about Loud from a position where they're down in the series and need to come back, let alone losing their own map pick. But that's what they'll have to do on map number 2 here. It's Haven. But we've got to talk more about what's working for Sentinels. And one of the most consistent factors has been Zek, and he's the primary focus of our AIM Lab shoot-around here today. The guy who has been the top performer for the squad all season long continues to be that, and now it just feels like the rest of the pieces of the puzzle are actually fitting in nicely behind him.
You nailed it right at the end, right? The rest of the puzzle is finally clicking for him. If you would have showed me that stat page before the tournament, take Loud out of the equation, and Zek would have been kind of like in the middle, and he was showing me some of those whiffs he had, like the one on A-Man. I've been like, oh, Sentinels get blown out by Loud here. But it's the other players that are stepping up really big for Sentinels right now and taking a huge burden off of this kid's shoulders. I think Zekin's going to feel way more comfortable going into Haven knowing that his team just got that win with, an average game for Zekin. It wasn't like he dropped bombs that game. That was an average game for him.
Yeah, but he still found the value that he needed to. This guy is really good when he plays on that duelist role of just dashing and taking space. It kind of reminds me at times of the way that Taco can play on those roles, where you're being really patient, setting up well with your team to take that space, and then the trading, the players coming in from behind from Sentinels are just so good that they're managing to consistently close out the rounds. It just feels like finally it makes sense for Sentinels. This is like the team that I've been waiting 4 months, 5 months now to see it happen, and it's crazy that it's today when they're playing with the subs.
You see how giddy everyone is. Like, yeah, we've literally been waiting months for this to look like this out of Sentinels. They got to keep it rolling, though, here on map number 2. It is their map choice, and we do expect big things out of them. But I want to start actually on the Loud side, Sean, because at the top of the day, we were also talking about this being one of the maps. While they did come away with a victory, it was a close one at that against MIBR just a couple weeks ago.
I will say a lot of those rounds, I went back and watched that VOD, the MIBR, the initial rally they had on defense was a lot of smoke and mirrors because a lot like Pearl, Loud are going to run this Harbor Viper comp on Haven. So they're going to be starved for info. Sentinel's going to be starved for info on their defensive half. There's going to be Viper walls blocking their line at A, potentially at C. There's going to be Harbor walls all over the place. So can Sentinels have a proactive game plan on their defensive half to get that info? That's what I'm looking out for them. Can they do that?
Sure.
It's really hard.
But for a team that normally struggles against Harbor Viper, I think they did a really good job against it on Pearl. And also, Haven is normally their permaban. They let it through in this series, so I guarantee that Kaplan and the team expected Loud to want to pick this, seeing it as a weakness for Sentinels. And I imagine they have something strong prepped.
Well, speaking of preparation, let's go ahead and talk to two of the mainstays from each of the rosters at this point, at the very least. For more on Sentinels versus Loud, let's hear from Saucy on how he thinks his old team is playing in 2023.
I think Loud is doing pretty great, especially with the two new boys, that is Twiz and Kawanzin. I think they're doing great and they're adapting really well to the team itself. And yeah, I think they are kind of the team that's trying new meta right now because they are in a top level and they can really try those stuffs. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that we need to be careful about it.
We'll see if they can get it done in a 2-0 fashion here today. Again, we were talking about if there was a 2-0 that was going to happen on stage today, it would be the other way, right? We'd be talking about Loud going into map 2 here with the potential to shut it out, but instead it's Sentinels with that shoe on currently. How wild.
I can't even believe it. I can't believe Sentinels showed up and did that to them on Pearl. And now we're about to go to Haven, where I've seen Loud get punched by MIBR. They won both pistols to squeak out that game. This is doable, Dash. This is very doable right now for Sentinels.
Yeah, and I mean, Sen is looking in such strong form. They also have the advantage of not having played this map in a while, of not allowing their opponent that time to put in the preparation work. Like, it feels like the stars are aligning for Sen to 2-0.
Now, for those of you at home who might be wondering what the short delay is on stage, if you were eagle-eyed enough in map number 1, you may have noticed in the kill feed, or when we went third person, that Marv was still sporting his optic tag, which again goes back to the point we were making about how long it's been since he's been able to play on stage in Tier 1 Valorant. They're just getting that swapped up so that he properly represents the team that he's currently on in Sentinels, and then we'll dive into Agent Select.
Yeah, it's wild for him. But, like, for Marv, I feel like this is, like, the kind of finality of his arc. Like, he started off looking so incredible as a Tier 1 pro. He was going to take a break. Everyone expected him to come back. Everyone was waiting for the moment that he was going to come back and play. And showing up and playing in the form that he is currently performing at, it just feels like kind of a perfect conclusion of his re-entry.
Yeah, I think this has been an insane entry, right? I think it helped, actually, that he ended up playing a team like Loud, who's probably put a lot of research in over these years, understands how to play against them situationally. But here on Haven, I don't think he's going to have a lot of experience if Loud busts out, again, this Harbor Viper. This is very rare on Haven in North America. I highly doubt Marv has a lot of reps against the Loud comp on Haven. I haven't seen North American teams run it.
It's only been Fury and Loud, really.
Yeah.
No one else has been experimenting with this one. But we'll have to see if they do stick to that here. The Sky being locked in for Kawanzin, Osbus on the Jet, suggests that they will be sticking to that composition thus far. Over on the side of Sentinels, though, you're continuing to see these ideas around the roles. Zekin will be playing the Duelist, Pankata will be sticking with the Sentinel, which means likely we get Marv back on that controller role again.
Well, there's the Viper for the side of Loud. The question is, will be matched on the other side of things. It was mirrored compositions there in map number 1, a breach. Reach here for Def in the initiator role.
Not really surprising to see that one go through. The more common compositions on this map are the double initiator. You see the Sova breach comps happening a lot. Some teams will experiment with the double flash, but they're going for the bog standard. This just feels like run a basic comp, run something that's comfortable, give Marv likely the Omen, or he could pick into the Astra if he wants as well.
I love this. I love giving Marv the Omen. He is one of my favorite Omen players to watch in this world. I think he's so loose with the teleports. He picked Astra!
Oh,
no.
baby!
His Astra's so good as well,
his
though.
Astra is really good, but I think he's a fearless Omen player, and that's the kind of stuff I would like to see against Loud. I think if he's picking the Astra in this scenario, they might have some ways that they want to counter the Viper wall, particularly the one that denies A info and is also used for an A execute, or that it's used as, C denial. And Sadak will switch between the sites. I like to see Marv using stars in those locations.
We've talked a lot about Def as an IGL. The pressure has been on him here against this weird composition. His calling will be key.
Double initiator versus double controller. So what wins out? Is it initiative or is it control? We'll find out soon enough as we dive in here for map number 2 and find out whether or not we go the distance as we hand it back to Brennan Sideshow for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash. Yeah, let's get to map number 2 in this series, Josh. And what a beginning, honestly. So unexpected, honestly. Across the board, you look at it on paper, we weren't really quite expecting this one. And now we head into Haven as well. The differences of the compositions, the desk was really as well hitting the similar points about, Loud playing this double controller component, potentially being quite uncomfortable territory for a team like Sentinels to play into. But for me, I'm looking at the Sentinels team as well. Listen, you haven't had much practice. I think they're going to be really just focused on their own game plan, I think, more so than anything else, to try and sail their way through this one and try and get that coordination together.
I agree. Sentinels themselves have got quite a default comp. All of the players will be very comfortable in these spots. Marv has played tons of Astra, obviously. Sassy, most played character Sova. And Zekken used to play Jet for Exet on this map too. Now we're looking here towards a B trap play for Sentinels.
Yeah.
Off Pancada's positioning. But instead, this looks like a very quick C-split.
All the way, working their way through, and you can see just how powerful those smokes are. The wall's going all the way up to just give them complete access to it. A re-flash and a re-peek. Pancada, they were attempting to re-clear that one, but less contains. Look at that, on 15 health, dropping back now.
Twiz is also weak. How do Sentinels get this one done? No flashes. I mean, the fault line will be coming back up in a second. Maybe
So
comboed
hard.
with the recon dart. They can't find Less.
Yeah, and Less is just that extra element, that backstab, who's just going to be waiting, sitting here while this hit starts to come through. Dart's taken care of. There's nothing else to accompany it. There needs to be kills going their way, and, well, it's even. Sassy on 48 health, yet still making the most of it. It's 3.
But now
Time is running low. Solo on either side. Aspas on 19 health as well. Can't reload, can't give away the position, but it's all the time pressure on Sassy. He's also low, and he has to stick it, and it's just not winnable. Clutch there for Aspas. Cool, calm, collected.
Big pistol round for Loud to acquire. You see a couple of the things that Sean was talking about on the desk there, the C Viper wall that's being put down, but also how much utility they have there, just an overwhelming barrage. What I love that I'm seeing in the retake, however, is how Sassy is playing that one. It's classic Sassy Sova. Very safe positioning, trading out his teammates without exposing himself to too many angles. The safest pair of hands in Valorant.
Double initiator comms quite good at controlling up this A main area. There was an attempt there. In fact, more than an attempt. Look at the damage. Oh, Zekken could have got away with a kill there. We'll see him with the heal, though. He's going to be able to top Less back up to a good amount of health.
This is pretty interesting. I mean, Def has a shorty over towards B. There's a couple of players A. In reality, Sentinels should not be winning this round, but with how insane their individual form has looked, you start to believe in moments.
You really do.
Like this.
You hold your breath just a moment, but they don't have good guns. It's all about these opening engagements, and well, enough shots rattled off. There was openings. Bit of peel attempt. As you can see, the stun was there, but battling their way through. Better guns at the end of the day, and yeah, they're able to just take that space easily enough.
And take a look at the Viper wall here that Sadak has put down.
Planted.
So it cuts off information and allows you to lurk down short at the beginning of these rounds. And then also, you can drop it whenever you like. So if you're a defender and you're trying to hold long or short, suddenly the wall's down and there could be attackers behind it. It's also useful for cutting off CT, as you see here. Marv just cut out from the action. So they've demonstrated in the first 2 rounds 2 really important Viper walls that Sean was talking about on the desk that are really... Sentinels are going to have to play around these. They've got to have some kind of counter plan.
Yeah.
And they themselves are not running a Sky, so you can't go and just try and flash through.
Hello? 2 years?
Diffusing.
Okay, well, a bit of a diffuse here. No one was waiting for this one. I mean, he's got enough time. He's got more than enough time. He's been sticking this long enough, but maybe a bit of an error there.
I mean,
take a look at it. I mean, 2 years was literally...
Tui's must have been disconnected there. Must have been. But it may well have happened late enough in the round that is not rolled back.
Yeah.
Obviously going to take a technical pause.
Take a look at that.
And I'm sure people are going to look at it, but to be honest there, Bren, Loud had enough players alive that they could have still stopped that diffuse from coming through. The rest of the Loud players messed that up, not just the fact that 2Es was gone.
They were already running away, thinking it was 1.
Thinking that there was no time. There was time.
It's an interesting one.
I mean,
well, we're getting that sorted out as well, though. Okay, interesting beginning. Throws a wrench into things, but you were talking about it, Josh. Listen, there's no Sky being ran on the side of the Sentinels, and when you're running these or going up against the double smokes in the form of like the Viper and the Harbor,
yeah,
you're running breach. I'm telling you now from experience, that's painful.
It is very painful. Trying to flash through these walls, it's going to be difficult. You've got to find solid walls that match up somewhere with the Viper wall in order to get a flash through them. And that is really tough.
Exactly.
Over towards C, you might be able to flash through the box at the back of sight. I mean, on A, you might be able to get some kind of flash play working if you decide to play very aggressive up in lobby, or if you're on a retake, there are some spots. But overall, I think we really do need to see Sentinels come out with an answer that isn't just ninja diffusing when 2Es is disconnected. It is a PC issue, though, that's been confirmed, so we're going to be working on that during this tech pause here. But what an unusual situation.
Yeah. Did you prep any assets for this, Josh, for the tech pause?
No, I did not. I did not. I'll tell you, I mean, what, you want me to prep what the Sentinels players are playing? We had no idea. Coming in,
There wasn't really much to go off, was there?
No, there really wasn't.
No.
I mean, this game has delivered above and beyond what anybody was expecting at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about...
You talked to the coach earlier today. How many days practice have they had?
I mean, less than 3.
Less than 3 days
Less than 3
practice.
with this current roster as well. And you think, I mean, it was online practice. I believe as well as Marv, who flew in yesterday or today. I can't quite remember exactly the timeline, but either way, not much time to acclimate. But listen, so far he's been looking very comfortable on the big stage.
Yeah, and Marv was at that level of player where you expect him to slot back in I mean, in my opinion, fairly simply, because the meta hasn't shifted dramatically. It's not like he's in a spot where his most played agents aren't being run.
Right.
And he just has a huge wealth of experience at the top level in Valorant. He's also quite a quiet player, a very smart player, someone that's going to be listening and adapting to what his team needs.
Yeah.
Doesn't require too many resources. And the whole squad, I mean, this is a stacked roster from Sentinels.
Everybody's chilling and Def just has the office worker posture. He's just sat there, he's got the spreadsheet open. Look busy, look busy. But we're getting this tech pause sorted as well, hopefully soon enough. And hopefully getting back into the action soon enough on top of it as well. Have you heard the way that Marv's former teammates, his former Optic compatriots as well, talk about it in game? You mentioned just then, it reminded me of it when you said he's a quiet player, he's a smart player.
Right.
They give him a lot of, I was going to say a word there.
A lot of ribbon.
A lot of ribbon, yeah, for maybe not talking at all in matches. He's a very independent player in the server.
Yeah. But he's also, I mean, his read on the game is fantastic. I'd take him over Zombs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this map is going to be such an intriguing one, partly because Sentinels and Loud have not played very much Haven. The last time we saw Sentinels play Haven, it was their loss to Fnatic, where we had, weirdly enough, Zekken playing Breach and Sassy on Sky. So, you know, Sentinels have definitely had a rework in terms of the compositions that they're bringing to the table today.
Yeah.
And that's made everything very fresh. It's not like Marv, Sassy, Zekken are trying to replicate exactly what the team was doing a couple of weeks ago. They've actually started kind of from the beginning again.
Yeah.
Except with an idea of how their teammates play and a feel for what they want to be doing and a loose system, and it looks like it's helping.
Yeah, well, good news if you're bored at the moment as well. Listen, we'll stop with the podcasting. Unfortunately, we don't have Subway servers to throw up on the one side of the screen, but we do have a lovely little package as well to capture your attention. So we'll be right back while we fix this issue.
Entonces, siempre digo lo mismo. Brasilero es capaz de mucho amor y mucho odio. Obviamente, cuando juegas mal, te matan, o sea, muchos comentarios
Te
negativos.
dejan saber que no le gustó.
Claro, exactamente. Pero igual es así en, creo que todas las culturas. ¿no?
Sí, todo el mundo, sí, Argentina es
sí,
igual,
no.
todos así igual.
Claro, pasa que en Brasil hay muchos brasileros. Entonces,
Sí.
que quizás se siente un poco más.
They're louder.
Sí,
Yeah,
son
they're
mucho
louder.
más.
Y en mi caso es, yo me quedo con algo que dijo él, como que siento que yo también pertenezco a eso, siento que al estar y haber vivido 2 años me identifico con muchas cosas de Brasil y también siento que la cultura con la Argentina, si bien es como bien rival, es bien parecido. Vos vas a Brasil y te sentís, o yo yendo a otros países, Brasil fue el lugar donde más me sentí como si estuviese en mi país, como en Argentina, porque la gente suele ser parecida, la pasión es igual, el amor es igual, todas esas cosas es como... Yo las asociaba así y eso es lo que me gusta y nada, me quedo mucho con eso y con eso dijo el tipo, sí, parte de mí pertenece a ese lugar y a mí me gusta también muchísimo Brasil. Es como mi segunda casa.
¿Por qué te mudaste?
A Brasil, bueno,
Ajá.
en mi caso fue como una decisión que tomé para salir de mi zona de confort, ¿viste? Cuando llegaba la propuesta era otro idioma, otro país, no conocía a nadie, siempre había jugado con compañeros que había tenido experiencia o los conocía de antes, entonces fue como, llegó la propuesta y la tomé y dije voy a salir de mi zona de confort y voy a enfocarme en ser mejor jugador. Y fue exactamente eso.
Para mí quizás fue un poco más distinto. Compartimos muchas de las decisiones, hablábamos mucho en ese momento.
¿Ustedes se mudaron juntos?
No,
¿Al
no.
mismo tiempo? ¿O
Nosotros
por las
fuimos-
mismas razones?
Claro, nosotros estábamos jugando juntos en ese momento, en un equipo de LATAM. Claro. Y yo le había dicho a él que cuando terminase de jugar quería ir para Brasil. Primero porque tenía a mi novia en ese momento en Brasil, entonces era lógico.
Claro.
Y segundo que en mi cabeza, un poco loco, pero en mi cabeza sabía que la única forma de ganar un internacional era entrando a un equipo brasilero.
¿Por qué?
Porque fue hecho antes por otras personas.
Ok.
No en el mismo FPS,
Sí,
pero fue hecho por otras personas.
Ajá.
Entonces sí dije, ahí voy a tener mi chance de ganar. Ahí voy a tener la mejor chance que una persona puede tener es jugar en Brasil, si quiere llegar al nivel más alto. Entonces
Ajá.
dije, tengo que ir a Brasil, tengo que ir a Brasil, tengo que ir a Brasil, tengo que ir a Brasil. Me cerraba, o sea, me hacía mi vida más fácil en todos los sentidos. Mi vida amorosa, trabajo.
claro.
Y no me llegó una propuesta mía. Fue más, yo tuve que ir a buscar la propuesta.
Sí, claro.
Porque lo había llamado en ese momento, lo llamé a Sassy en ese momento. Le dije, mira, quiero jugar con vos. No sé cómo, quiero jugar con vos. y Sassy me dijo, después de mucho tiempo me respondió. Y me dijo, bueno, buenísimo. Vamos a jugar juntos, vamos a encontrar una organización que te pueda traer de Argentina. Porque esa es otra situación, o sea, te tiene que traer a
No te
Argentina.
queda muy simple.
Claro,
Claro.
Eso
Era
muy
lo
bueno.
mismo.
Claro, eso fue algo muy bueno de Furia que hizo, que lo trajo a él. Es una apuesta, o sea, es
claro,
una apuesta.
claro.
¿no? Y para mí fue eso. Eso fue el motivo.
¿Tú también pensaste lo mismo? ¿Que solo
Sí.
puedes ganar?
O sea, no, en el sentido que para mí en Brasil, no sé, nosotros habíamos sido campeones de Free Strike en LATAM. Y nosotros habíamos visto el impacto, independientemente de eso, que los ganadores del Freestyle de Brasil había sido como boom, explotado. Yo me acuerdo que también tuvimos como esa percepción, al menos yo tenía esa percepción de que en Brasil el VALORANT estaba como creciendo muchísimo.
Mucho más rápido, mucho mejor. Sí,
y en
claro,
LATAM
claro.
creció, pero creció después. En ese momento no estaba
verdad.
al mismo nivel que Brasil,
Me
porque
había
después
olvidado
LATAM creció muchísimo en VALORANT, pero en ese momento no era la misma vara con la que se medía.
Claro.
Sí, me acuerdo. Ahora que
Esa
lo
esa
decís, me
también
acuerdo.
fue una de las razones también
Sí.
mías, además. O sea, yo lo dije de salir de mi zona de confort, era como decir, para mejorar hay muchas cosas para mejorar. Estar en un lugar donde no conozco a nadie, en un país nuevo, también perdido, solo. O sea, Era ese mi objetivo en ese momento.
Sí, claro. Y yo también, honestamente, yo me acuerdo en los Estados Unidos hablando de todos los diferentes equipos y todos los diferentes países. Y siempre hablamos mucho de Brasil. Y no tanto de Latinoamérica.
Esa es la historia. Brasil siempre fue un país que se mostró muy fuerte en este tipo de géneros de juego. Así que en este tipo, ¿no? En otros quizás un poco más, un poco peor, pero en este tipo de FPS siempre fue muy, muy marcante.
Welcome back to VCT Americas, where Marv is so cold he's freezing out his opponents in round number 2 of the map. Just kidding. Hey, we're back on the desk because we've got a few of our refs on stage currently investigating a technical issue. We did have Tui's his computer shut down in the middle of that round. There's been no declaration as to what exactly the decision is moving forward. First, just swapping out his PC, getting the full restart going, and then we'll have a decision to deliver to you all a little bit later.
It's just really hard to have PCs run under the temperature that's currently on stage. It's really unfortunate. They weren't prepared for Marv.
Yeah, they're out there right now with some hair dryers trying to defrost all that.
Stuff.
So we only have one real round to talk about at this point, right? There isn't a ton for us to get into just yet, but But of course, the first round, Sean, I believe we have it. Hopefully we can run it for you guys. Yes, we do. Okay, I didn't want to make a promise I couldn't keep.
This was actually an insane pistol round from Loud, and it just shows, their dedication. But this is actually, we're going
This is just in general a celebration of Ospas. Let's do that first.
This is the one from last week where Ospas went 11-0 in First Bloods against Furia, just teeing off on them on this jet roll, which is what we're going to see him in today, just insta-locking jet across all the maps. But I was referring to that opening pistol before because they used the Harbor Viper so well on the opening pistol, and Sentinels was not ready for that C hit in the way that it occurred. I had never seen a hit like it, to be honest. The cascade was perfectly between the Viper wall and the Harbor wall, and they just ran it down, did a garage split, and there was no fights available for Sentinels until Saucy almost won like a heroic round again.
Yeah, it's crazy that SEN is getting things so close with some of these clutches. We saw a ton of those in map number 1. But I think the biggest kind of crowning point for Loud is just the innovation with them. This is their meta. They made, well, I don't know who did it first per se, but they're the team who really kind of made Harbor Viper mainstay. And you can see that they're so good on it, even on maps that it hasn't fully caught on yet. And what we were just watching with Ospas, it's a meta that also enables him to be so good as an individual.
Well, and this just goes back to the conversation we were having earlier, Sean, about Kaplan slotting in, the idea of a super week, so you have 2 opponents, right? We talked about how big prep can be, but the fact that specifically on this map, what has he seen in the tape? What did he glean from that very close matchup that Loud have against MIBR, and how can they strat against it?
Yeah, he might have some tells, right? We saw the Viper wall go up at A on the second round, even though the round is likely going to maybe get replayed. We saw the A one there and then the C one on pistol round. So they're using both the ones they used in that prior match against MIBR. And I'd imagine Kaplan has some solutions for these Viper walls, because what's happening is the C player can't get any info or the A player can't get any info, and you're just guessing. And that's why I was thinking Marv might put stars behind the wall, occasionally take peeks with some of Saucy's util. And that's the only solution I can think of right now. They didn't really have a solution yet, but we might see one to come soon.
And I think that's one of the things that's interesting about Haven versus some of the other maps that Loud has been playing this Harbor Viper, in that you have to be a lot more varied in your setups. You'll see them move around that Viper wall, move around there placing the orb a lot more than on other maps, because Haven is just so large. It's that 3-site map. You kind of have to pivot different placements for your smoke, depending on where you're defaulting. Is this a round where the priority is A lobby control? Is this a round where getting a lurk into garage, like we saw from that wall on the pistol round that lets you get up towards C, or ones that they've thrown, like one towards garage. There's just a lot more options, which I think does make that prep very difficult. I'm
told we have that first round now, by the way, so we can play through and get a look at a lot of what we've been talking about so far already.
Watch Tui's Harbor wall on the minimap. Right? Look how fast and how good he is at that Harbor wall. So he's perfectly blocking off window, which it can't be too shallow, because it wouldn't really block it very well. It can't be too deep, because then people can go in front of it. And then he pairs up with the Viper. Look at the cascade going right between the walls. So it's denying the vision from the site player to the players coming out of the garage angle. This is so innovative. I've never seen a team do this. The Viper wall would technically block off a very common Killjoy turret on the left by Plat. There's so many things about this early round that counters the meta. It's just 200 IQ from Loud.
It's really good, and you can see on top of that I think Sentinels had a pretty solid reaction, right? You generally want to play retake against Viper Harbor. You want to punish the reflanks and repush space so you can have a retake from multiple angles. They tried to do that, but Les utterly shut them down, getting that initial kill despite being flashed up in mid. It was a really good one out of Loud. And now the kind of questions that Sentinels probably have going through their head during this pause of what else does this team have prepared? What other ideas do they have to show? Because it's clear that they went back, they looked at that MIBR game, and they wanted to bring some new stuff out for this match.
Questions that we can only wait for answers to, if we're being honest, right? And we saw, and we even did get to see, even regardless of what the result is with that second round, replayed or not, we even still got a little bit more info, as you were saying there, Sean, with the A approach and the hit. Ultimately, if that one does get replayed, then all of a sudden, we're back open to a wide table of all right, maybe we avoid that A hit altogether. It's going to be its own little mind game there, is how do we even get back into it here from a pause and a possible reset?
So, actually, while you were talking, one of my 2 neurons just activated in my brain, and I remembered. So the second round, Zekin peeked sewers with that sheriff and almost caught Sadak entering A lobby. That was exactly how he approached that Viper wall. He just swung, and he was just getting kills. And that's how they were controlling the A lobbies, just taking that fight very aggressively. So I want to know if Ospas actually counters that by starting to like hold the sewers peak, because that's the one weakness that I see for Loud right now.
Yeah, and I think for Ospas as well, him as an individual, a lot of emphasis is going to be on him this map because he struggled a lot more than normal to get those opening kills. I think Sen was actually doing a really good job on map number 1 of playing with that Harbor Viper comp and shutting him down, because normally we pride this guy on being one of the absolute best at playing around these Harbor Viper comps, finding the gap in the smoke, using the verticality to get over and find that opportunity. And on Haven, again, because it is a larger map, once they get to defense, the emphasis, I think, will again be on him.
Yeah.
I mean, we took a look at a big full-screen stat sheet of Ospas earlier in the day today, and last week, as he continued to ramp up, had 100% first blood rate success, right? Every opening
He's a
duel
pretty
that
good
he
player,
took,
I think.
Not fair.
he won, right? And you're not always going to get that 100-0 performance, which is obviously an important thing to recognize. But if he's always shooting 50% or above in that regard, that's something pretty massive that Sentinels is going to have to overcome. So will he find that rhythm again here on map 2 is a big question.
That is the biggest question, right? Can Ospas actually have like a true Ospas level game with the anti-stratting that maybe Kaplan has planned for him? Does Kaplan win that battle, or does Ospas win that battle today? Because right now, all the other pieces for Loud look so good that I think that is the key thing that's going to determine whether Loud can take this series or not.
Yeah, and now I'm going to like go way ahead of what we're talking about right now, but how does this change our expectations? If Loud actually ends up losing the series 2-0, if they drop their first series to Sentinels, a team who we've been like dooming on for all of this, like they're not living up to
honestly, it flips. So it's a good question because it flips so much on its head, right? Because it's such a stark contrast between the undefeated team, you know, current champions 2022, all that, to Sentinels, struggle bus, who had higher expectations coming into the split, hasn't lived up to them. So right now, these two teams are sitting on opposite ends of the spectrum. And so for this upset to happen, I think it does way more to kind of upset our current thinking of the general narratives in the region than, let's say, any other team below Loud right now in the standings taking them down.
Screw our thinking. What would that do to Sentinels? Like, what happens to their team at that point if they just 2-0 Loud today with Marv standing in?
Right?
What happens?
I don't know. Like,
yeah, how do you start to think about the way the Tens fits into the squad, and is this actually a better roster in terms of agent compositions and things like that? What we've talked about has been a struggle for them so far.
It's just so weird because it finally makes sense for Sentinels. And then the question is, do you want to continue with Marv? Do you go back to Tens? How do you change around your roles? Do you have to shift things again? What does he want? Like, there's so many questions around this team. And even in terms of their expectations, it's like, okay, now you've beat Loud. How much more can you achieve? Can we push this into a team who can get a top placement in playoffs? Could they be in contention for Tokyo? Like, getting an upset here starts that kind of snowball of realizing that, hey, they've had a rough start to the season, but it's 8 weeks long. It's nowhere near over yet.
All right, Coach. Let's we made you the coach of our super team. Let's make you the coach of Sentinels for a day. I mean, what is your current take?
They don't need another change.
You're right. They don't need another. Sorry, we're going to just,
Kaplan has had the job for like 12 hours.
If it's our choice, Sentinels is working with a new coach every week. But what would you say was the most impressive thing of Sentinels' play so far today that you haven't seen yet from them?
I really liked just the coordination amongst the players, particularly Zekin with the initiators. I thought Def looked really comfortable on the Harbor in that first map. I know it doesn't show statistically, but he was very disruptive on those A hits on his defensive side. And then on attack, I thought his Harbor walls, when I looked at prior games from Sentinels, their Harbor walls were nowhere near what Tui's is. Tui's is like in a world of his own when it comes to playing Harbor. And this was the first time I felt like, you know, someone from NA could hang with Tui's a little bit in the Harbor role. So I thought Def really surprised me. I thought he played really good today on Harbor.
Yeah, don't let the Sentinels management hear that. Don't let them listen to this guy. They don't need to make another change yet. They
don't watch our show, do they? Right? Yeah, they're back there trying to figure out what's going on stage at the moment. Getting a look at Tui's on that Harbor play, and Cowanzine as well, coming up with some massive clutches for the squad. We talk about you know, some big clutches on the other side. Saucy, for example, with the pistol round clutch that he had on Pearl on the second half, is not to be outdone by players like Cowanzine as well.
I mean, the storyline is so cool because in kind of both of these clutch situations, it was like them playing against the player that ended up replacing them. For both Penkata and Saucy, it's like, okay, we're against our former teammates, but we're still proving that we can be better than these new guys that got brought in. We are still at the top of that game. And all of these clutch rounds were incredible, but they're not really the thing that stuck with me. Again, it was the coordination. It was the consistency that Sentinels managed to provide, because we've always seen those sparks of individual brilliance, but now we're getting that on top of a team that actually looks like they have a coherent game plan and looks well put together in the mid-round.
Yeah, and in previous games for Sentinels, kind of going into what you just said, those late rounds, they seem to always go to their opponents, right? But in this game, they closed out a lot of those late rounds. Their plays were very cohesive in those moments. And the one time it failed was that Sadak 1-on-2 clutch. I feel like in all of their other games, you know, their coordination in those 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, 1-on-2s even, they're losing them a lot because probably miscommunication. It looked like a lot of that was cleaned up in this iteration of the team.
Yeah, they really did manage to fix that stuff. And for Sentinels as well, just the individual prowess of these guys has been fantastic throughout. And now you kind of look on the other side toward Loud, and it's like normally those late rounds are where they thrive. We look back last week against Furia. That's where Cow and Zine was having incredible moments, where Aspas' anchoring was incredible. I don't feel like we've seen those same like star-studded performances yet in the same way this week.
Yeah, and to a degree, Ray, I have to imagine some of that comes from rhythm, but also how the game itself is matching up to your expectations. Because I'm sure Loud, like most of us, thought they were going to come in and wipe the floor with Sentinels, yes, right? And so, again, Sean, I'm sure you can speak to what it's like as a competitor to step on the stage with one expectation, immediately have that expectation subverted, and then have to grapple with it in real time.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got punched in the face a little bit in that first game, and probably if they went back in their huddle, they were like, you know, just one map, don't worry about it. They're probably trying to put that behind them. They're not focused on it, and then they go into Haven, and we saw that insane pistol that they busted out. So they definitely have the prep work done here on Haven. It's not like they're lacking confidence, and then Ascent is their final map. They're still super comfortable with the map pool. This isn't like a inexperienced team. I don't think that
we're not pulling the fire alarm just yet. Yeah.
I don't think that loss affects them at all, actually.
Okay.
I don't think they're even flinched.
And you've seen that in the first few weeks, where Loud has ended up losing a map in series that they didn't expect to. Like against MIBR, I don't think any of them had in their mind that they even had a chance of losing that Lotus against them. Still came back, stomped in the third map. They're very good at that. Even back at Lock-In, right? Grand Finals, you go 2 maps down, and you damn near reverse sweep Fnatic, the team that ended up winning that tournament. The mental on this squad is incredible.
Yeah, they've got some tenacity, to say the least. Officials are still working behind the scenes to get us back into the game. And while they do so, let's check out another clip from Doug's interview with Sadak and now Nazwar. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Which you can see in full on our YouTube channel. Here's more Common Ground.
Ustedes dos se mudaron a Brasil. Tú te quedaste. Y tú te fuiste otra vez.
Sí.
¿Tú por qué te fuiste? ¿Por qué no te quedaste?
Bueno, más que nada fue una decisión personal. También va con parte de la decisión de por qué fui, de querer tomar nuevos aires y cambiar, no digo zona de confort de nuevo, pero es como cambiar a otro equipo. Y además, a una razón personal que tengo también con la salud de mi mamá, y entonces quería estar más cerca también, hacia el equipo Argentina, y bueno, eso fue el resumen de por qué me fui.
¿Y eso hace cuánto fue?
Fue que me fui, terminó el Champions con Furia y yo me fui en casi principio de año, creo que igual, no, fue en diciembre, creo que se hizo el anuncio cuando me fui.
Esto fue
Reciente.
ya.
Sí, no fue hace mucho tiempo.
¿Hace qué? ¿4 meses? ¿4 o 5 meses?
Sí, cuando terminó el Champions, más o menos, que fue en septiembre, ahí hubo un mes que tuvo todas esas negociaciones, todos los equipos, y ahí ya en diciembre se concluyó.
Cómico cómo compartimos muchas cosas en nuestro destino. Porque ¿qué pasó? Cuando entré en Vikings, mi madre fue diagnosticada con cáncer de mama. Y el único motivo por el que fui a Brasil fue porque ella me dijo, anda, seguí tus sueños, competir, porque era mi sueño competir.
Claro.
Y era lo único por lo que yo volvería sería para estar con ella. Pero ¿qué pasó? En cuanto estábamos en Vikings, estaba yendo todo muy bien, el tratamiento de ella estaba mejorando, y empezó a empeorar todo cuando clasificamos para la Champions. Así que en el medio del bootcamp, nosotros estábamos en un bootcamp para la Champions. Mi madre empieza a empeorar, y una semana antes de la Champions falleció, o sea, murió. Una situación muy fea. Y yo estaba en el medio de la Champions, estaba en Berlín en ese momento. Entonces, en el momento, el psicólogo me dijo, competí, sacátelo de la cabeza Y cuando termines de competir, volver a Argentina, hacer lo que tengas que hacer. A todo esto yo estaba empezando mi nueva familia en Brasil, porque ya estaba con mi esposa.
Sí, claro.
Entonces yo dije, bueno, si volvería a Argentina, volvería simplemente por mi padre. Entonces ahí tomé la decisión, hablé con él, me dijo, tu madre quería que vos sigas tu sueño, yo quiero que vos sigas tu sueño. Así que yo dije, voy a continuar en Brasil. Es lo más lógico, estoy empezando mi familia,
claro.
estar todo aquí, pesado, perdón. Y seguí en Brasil.
De mi parte es como estar también tiempo con mi mamá, no es a nivel de él exactamente lo que sucede, pero es como, nada, son reflexiones, ¿no? Y exactamente todo eso es muy duro, porque yo lo conozco hace un montón y
Sí.
cuando me contó es como, se me partió el alma también y es como,
No me lo imagino.
hay historias.
Creo que fue uno de los momentos más difíciles de mi vida. Pero la decisión de quedarme en Brasil fue muy fácil. O sea, después...
Por el apoyo del viejo.
Claro, exactamente. Y porque también sabía que mi hermano estaba allá para cuidar de mi viejo. Y cuando pasó todo eso, tomé la decisión de continuar en Brasil y ahí empezó Loud. Ahí fue cuando hicimos
empezaron
Loud,
el equipo y todo.
cuando empezamos con el equipo. Así que esa fue mi decisión.
Well, the tech pause is going to be over momentarily as well as the issues getting resolved here. And Sadak, what a player he has been, the career that he's had as well, competing at the very highest level, still at the top of the standings. But this is a test indeed as he's going up against Sentinels here. Map number 2 with Sentinels leading.
Yeah, an unusual situation to start this one out, but it is the score 1-1. So Sentinels, they've managed to get that round back and force things into a strange position here. 2 Spectres, 3 rifles for Sentinels heading in, and Loud still kept some weaponry from the prior round because of those players that backed off in the post plan.
A bit of a team flash there. Just for about a moment, now you're seeing it, high tide. Another one as they push their way through into Garage, and I think Ricardo's lucky to get out away with his life. A bit of shots rattle off as well, back and forth between them.
And this high tide, actually, that Twiz is throwing, it's for a bit of garage control, but then it also would allow you to sneak into B. And both connectors been smoked off. That's going to draw the defenders towards the B site and make A a little easier to walk up. You can see Zekken just looking for that information. Sean was talking about how he went for a wide swing short on a prior round. Now going to re-clear with the drone.
It's all about the timing. You can see the jump spot here by Def. Wow, Sadak's crosshair placement was good. It was on it, not quite landing a shot. Fast moving forwards though, but he's dealt with. Cleaned up onto the side of the smoke, and plenty of personnel ready for Sentinels to try and meet them right into the weaponry.
Spike down A.
Sadak left with so much to do, but eventually shut down there, and 3 rifles staying in the hands of the Sentinels players, keeping that economy nice and even.
Yeah, still looking decent for Sentinels. One player can drop. I mean, Pancada's got huge amounts of money. And Loud, so now we start the game kind of proper, right? Both teams have those rifles on board, and we get to see what Sentinels' defensive adjustments look like. And it looks like they want to go early, aggressive at the beginning of this round. Is this going to be the Fnatic play? It looks like a dart is going to come over the top, and possibly Zekken dashing down mid. This could be that Fnatic set play.
Yeah, there's a stun. Down to the side, only clears a little bit of mid here. Actually doesn't go deep into the spawn. It's an aftershock and a Hunter's Fury though. That supplements him unless it's ready. Oh, that is disrespectful.
Oh my word.
Zekken falling. Bit of bite being taken out of the round. Now forward and Loud. Happy to take all that space. Aspas on the high ground angle here. Sassy. Nothing blocking his way. Reckoning can't quite stand his ground. Has to avoid it for now.
The flank. We've got a fight between Les and Def. Def broke the alarm bot here. So Les knows.
Positioning is known and everything comes down to this one fight. That is not a confident fight to take there. Def loses it. That's revealing. It's a 3v5 now for Sen. You might have to start thinking otherwise about trying to play this one for a bit of a fast retake because this post-plan setup is so difficult.
I think this is a save here. I mean, maybe they can get another ninja defuse, but I don't think it's likely.
Unlikely. And yeah, just playing for the exits. holding those angles, making sure that they keep the guns.
I mean, Pancada's here. Exits are really good here for Sentinels. If they can drop weapons out of Loud's hands, it's
Up and
good.
rushed, yeah. Pancada's managing to at least hold his ground, but not for much longer. So 2-2. That's going to be the scoreline. The scrappy back and forth beginning, isn't it, for this map 2?
Certainly is. Weapons on board again, though. Sentinels still fairly far away from having their economy broken. And this is where you start to get those ults cycling. So now Kawanzin with his Seekers online on that attack side. And then if they get the plant down, potentially, they would have a post-plant lockdown to work with. The Loud composition has some unusual ults like that Viper's Pit that you don't normally play against on Haven. And if Sentinels are playing full retake, you can see them again trying to play aggressive on another part of the map.
That's bad at A lobby control, but look at how good this Viper wall is! Oh, that's his elbow! It sticks out like a sore thumb, and there you go, Sen. An instant capitalization, but the same high tide. Sean was talking about it in the desk as well in that short break that we had, how good it was at just really putting the pressure on the anchoring player, forcing him to play back and off the site for the retake.
2East goes for the plant, less dead, so no post-plant lockdown available. Cove being thrown aggressively here actually helps keep Aspas alive, who would have taken a little bit of spam. This pull doesn't really seem synced up with too much else.
Every time there's a piece of util used, there's something else in response. Stun. Lay it across now to Seekers as well, splits them through, but already just flooding into the back of the side. It's Sentinels trying to take the space, trying to scale down to Sadak last alive. That's second with 3.
Huge retake from Sentinels. I thought they would get pushed back there. I mean, the investment of the Seekers too, and nothing much to show from it. All coming from CT. Loud had a player in Garage, Loud had an ultimate to be able to work with. In theory, a bunch of things that could have worked nicely for them. But everybody on Loud just getting stuck behind default there.
I gotta give credit to Def as well. There was a fault line in the middle of that retake that was beautiful. Landed on top of the box as well and just made its way across the side. I believe 2 players were caught by it, stunned up. But now you're starting to see a bit of a change in the setup. This operator in the hands of Zekken. Again, another thing that was spoken about, the disrespect shown to this Viper wall.
But I love this. I think getting Zekken on this deep line, if he can hop on the box even in A short, he can just be left there.
And he gives you so much info.
He might end up having to retake with an operator, but I think the informational value you're getting from him is worth it. And that is just spam. That's just spam through double doors Garage.
Through double doors, but no time wasted. Loud are immediate with their response. Taking up all the space into B. I wasn't looking for it. One angle watched for, but not the other one as well. And they are just slipping into every single gap in the defensive protocols.
Aspas pushing deep into spawn here. Zekken, he's watching for it. How do the Sentinels players know this kind of stuff? Reminiscent of Pearl.
Maybe heard the jump as well off to the side. Just holding the angle, but this is it. Comes down to the timing. Doesn't expect it. 3 in a round for Aspas. He has been that difference maker with the Viper's Pit dropped. How do you even play this one? Flash to read big. Aspas is not even blind. Playing around a util. Tanking the dart. That is just pure disrespect to your former teammate. Denied the ace. Operator picked up, but it has to be that save.
It's pretty important here, actually, because Sassy's going to be able to drop his teammate, pick up a rifle, drop the operator.
Poison's off.
And it's going to help them put a buy together that's still fairly decent. Zekken got value out of the op as well. He managed to pick up less on the other side of short. But Loud kind of overwhelmed. The B pressure, you're starting to see some of the cracks that you would expect, honestly, from a team like Sentinels that has had so little time together.
Yeah.
The way that Marv wasn't quite ready for the pressure coming through on B and got caught, bullet to the side of the head, just not really knowing where to face. It's difficult when you're playing the smokes in a comp like this because you're so far away from the information on the other side of the map. You rely very heavily on being fed good comms to dictate where you should be looking and where you're going. This time, Zekken opping down C.
Can be difficult to get value out of the operator. And you're playing a jet as well into these double smokes comms because of things like this. That was a Viper orb that was just thrown from safety, locks off one of those angles, and the knives for Aspas. How does he want to claim this one? Spamming the common corners, making sure that they clear out Garage and remove that turret. So really now Zekken is starting to feel the pressure, but it's a stack from Sentinels. 3 of their players. Make sure they watch this B side. Maybe a bit of a read for it as well. Well, Marv's taken out on one side of it, and there wasn't really a swing from SEN. They didn't fall for the bait. Aspas was locking down that one angle, but now you're seeing it. Dr. re-clear, and they want to pivot right back into a C hit. Zekken, it's a difficult ask for him. Breach ult right away, all the way through. Rolling Thunder, Hunter's Fury, everything being expended. The kitchen sink and all, just to try and help out Zekken.
Meanwhile, Sassy with his Hunter's Fury, he threw a long-range dart as well from A at the early round. And it is going to be A the result here. If he saves this recon, it could be absolutely imperative for them in the retake. But that's what Sentinels are going to have to play. I don't think Zekken used many of his knives, so I don't think the operator's going to be a large problem for them.
Now SEN can focus on trying to play this retake. Lockdown. She was close, but a lockdown for a lockdown with 19 seconds left. Looks like an attempt here to try and take the fight early. Deny the plant, and he does just right! Zekken! That's a beastly performance. And there's just no time left. Players detained, 6 seconds left. Can even access the spike? Nope.
I have the spike.
The round is lost just like that. Quick decision-making from Sentinels, and it earns them a round.
What an incredible scenario there. Sadak sprinting back into the site to try and get the plant down when 4 players were detained for the retakers. And it all comes down to that.
Nasty stuff. Even if Zekken doesn't get the second, he wins the round just by killing the plants of that.
Yeah, incredible work. Zekken looks on fire in this main duelist role. I think Zekken's got the quality to be able to play a lot of different stuff for the Sentinel squad, but he's able to hard carry games from this spot. Arguably, he has done in the past from Sova too.
I think the dart was good, actually. I think that was getting blocked by the Viper wall. SEN are going to be partly aware of this.
What a read here to have 3 players A, not playing aggressive, just kind of waiting for the hit to come through.
But it's difficult for Zekken because he doesn't know if they've crossed. Look at him, he's adjusted his crosshair placement now for that one angle. The drone was broken. I think that's a bit of a tell that there could be a player close on that angle, but
otherwise Zekken would be facing the right side.
Yeah, and he's repositioned and he's pushing up. There was a flash. Sassy's pushed up. It's all comes down to this, and he spotted him. Aspas close to the corner. Not seeing any time wasted, but oh my goodness, it's so cautious. It's just a contact push all the way up. Zekken does well to get the one. Def, you got to play your life. Backs away. The Loud, they have access to the site now. Spike's starting to get planted.
Oh, the fight in mid. Pancada takes down less, and the spike dropped. This now becomes doable for Sentinels, a 3v3.
Push back. Wall bangable, not too certain of it, but you've handed Aspas the op. An exchange. Swaps it around with the rifle in his hands, flash avoided, and walking, wading right through the high tide. Pancad none the wiser, and 4 in the round. Aspas immediately answering back, Josh, and listen, use the term a lot, but this really is just back and forth, isn't it?
It certainly is, but this A Viper wall has caused Sentinels so many problems. They've been trying to counter it a bunch, but look at this. Oh, this was after the drone came through. That was the kill that Aspas was able to get onto Sassy, and it's a freebie because Sentinels had bad information. As the drone comes down shore, it's killed too quickly, can't check the right-hand side. And they falsely assumed that there was nobody there. An obvious battle, and now Zekken takes it over towards C as Kaplan calls a timeout. Wanting to talk to the squad. Newly promoted head coach here, looking to see if he can influence just how they counter Loud's game plan.
I think it can be quite difficult as well. You can have a theory behind it, you can have an idea, but yeah, a lot of it, you can see a lot of teams' game plans on Haven as a map as well. They're going to be relying on, if they're running a jet, getting an operator in their hands because of that information it gathers you if you get set up on those angles. But the composition that Loud are running, that gets denied quite a lot of the time, so.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think as well here, you got to think about, bring things back to Pearl. How were Sentinels getting the win on their defense side of Pearl? It was not by playing retake. It was by flooding rotators into the site and having one player anchor really heavily. So whether that's on A, you know, if we translate that concept to Haven, you want to be holding backside C super heavily. And then you want to be holding backside A very heavily so that you control the CT rotates and you allow help to come in from that angle without having to be worried and using too much utility. And that's not what we're really seeing. We're seeing Sentinels forced to play full set retakes.
I got yous, okay?
And I don't think that's going to be a strength of theirs with such little time.
New beginning to the round.
Poison orb emitting toxin screen down.
Work being put in by Loud at the beginning of the round, so you can see just breaking that door.
And also, Marv getting himself into cubby here. They know that Sadak does not get onto the angle. Beautiful. What a beautiful adjustment. Sadak has to throw that Viper Orb from further back, so he's not there in time to see Marv sneak into cubby.
Great adjustment. Turret's broken, though. This is Loud walking their way through. Spike not on B just yet, but they want to take their time with it. Of course, they've got about a minute on the clock, but hoping to take some fights as the smokes dissipate. Cascade in the face, though, just to replace it.
And this time,
Stop it in his tracks.
This time the defenders are much more well set up for the B pressure. Marv's not getting caught. Sassy with a nice jiggle. Can Loud convert this in a 4v5? They've got nice positions.
But it's difficult to try and retake, I think. Flash and the drone comboed up. Reckoning is used. That's on the side of Loud. That's going to be pushing them back here. Nice start to Aspas. Pushes him away. Updraft dash away, but he realizes he has to play on the site. There's a Cosmic Divide in his face. Can't play the post plants too easily, and now starting to be swarmed. It's about the coordination. It's about hitting the shots! And the crossfire setup. Well, it's good enough. Enough damage done to Marv that the shorty will finish it off, but Sassy could be the difference maker.
Double down on 2.
And you're right, Josh. Utility's there to try and stop this one. A tap onto the spike, and I think they've realized it. No time left in the round. Zekken wants to get out with the op. They have to save the guns, and Loud will claim it.
Oh, and Sassy just gets away with the Vandal. Very nice post-plant play by Loud in a 4v5. Things could have gotten sticky there, but you always have that last line of defense, which is less. Double Nano Swarm on the spike. I still think the way that Sentinels fought back into this was very decent, especially considering that Def's breach flashes really didn't catch on to anyone. But once more, you see Loud's sight executes with Tui's utility, giving them free plants. They're getting into post plants where Sentinels have to play set retakes, and that's not what Sen want.
A battle waiting to be taken. Flash over the top. Zekken can't take the angle, and look at how difficult it is. He's opping. He wants a free sight line. He's not going to be getting it. Not against this. Cascade in his face, and this is risky. The rest of his team doesn't have the weaponry. It's all on him. What can he do? Dog. His feet broken, dashes back to disengage, but already they're being flooded, swarmed every angle. Sassy will fall. Still Zekken's in, flick of the wrist, and doesn't find the target.
The snake bite is gorgeous from Sadak there, stops anybody swinging from left side default. And they tried to flood people in. They tried to get Def running in there to help, and they just couldn't. Loud with the better weaponry here too. So there doesn't look like too much that the Sentinels players can get working. The Loud system, the Loud executes, and finding them all the success.
Yeah.
Sentinels can't challenge early round because they've got a Viper or Harbor utility in their face. And then once it comes to the... You notice as well that Loud are going for the site exec often as Sassy drones. They're picking the timing immediately. As soon as Sassy's in the drone, they know that, first of all, Zekken's going to be opping and trying to follow it. And Sassy can't reposition, can't shoot back.
Yeah, it's a player out of the game. Point. You can see Marv's hunting, but he exits! That's a lovely little gift. Okay. Round lost, but damage done. And an operator as well. They've been saving this one all the way through. It's a family heirloom, Josh.
Yeah, it's been passed down generation to generation, hasn't it? They keep losing the rounds, but they keep being able to buy ops. So really, that could be a big difference maker. It's a nice three-piece, but Sentinels are going to have to start putting some rounds on the board.
It's a difficult task for them. You know, we talked about the adjustments that Sentinels as a team. This comp is unusual. Not many teams in America are running it, but look at this from Loud. No time wasted again. Very reminiscent of the opening round here, but a bit of a team flash. God, Aspas.
These executes just look sublime from Loud.
So well orchestrated, so well executed, and Aspas not lacking any confidence. New player to the Sentinels roster here. Marv's removed from the fight. Not going to have his utility, and look at this re-clear. Trailblazer carves out a nice little pow of reactions from Aspas. It's pure enough, and look at this. The dash active, he wants a little bit more, but Sentinels are already keen to just get the hell out of there. They want any part of him here. Exchange. The rifle picked up. Too much damage done. Too much to overcome. And wow.
The family heirloom survives.
Will it survive? That's the thing. They are swarming him. They're like, listen, you've had this for too many rounds now. Finally taken care of. Finally taken out the hands of Second.
There's some spice in this game now.
Yeah.
It's the second or third time we've seen some of the bodies getting shot. Loud players coming back in with some fire on map 2. Loud currently look unstoppable. They've got a reckoning for the next as well. They did get caught up a little bit by Sassy Hunter's Fury when they went for a C hit prior. There are now 4 players stacking A. Sentinels are determined. We cannot give up this area at the beginning of the round, even if we have to play full C retake.
This many players. How do they want to try and fight this one? There's a Hunter's Fury as well. There was a smallest bit of presence, but the shots presumably going wide here, and the rest of Loud, it's a reaction play. The Reckoning's used. Pancada can't stand his ground. He can't spam the angles, and already all that util clearing and cleaving its way through. It's such a similar play now. We've seen it time and time again, but it's too much to offset.
And Sentinels have been able to find no answer for it. Less though caught this time. A reflank coming through. Marv and Def are going to have nice garage positions.
I think that's why you're starting to see that stack over towards A at the beginning of the round.
There's a flash for Kawanzine and Aspas here. This would be so bold.
Risky to push this as well, though, because look at the positioning. Sentinels are back. They absorb the aggression. A pop flash around the corner, but Second, a difficult player to take out. And right now he's got the angle. Watch Spork. Kawanzine still wins it, and he could be the backstab, could be the thorn in their sides, but Marv puts them back, and Marv has just been magnificent. Stick onto the fuse, line them up, but it matters not. 5 in a round claim here for Sen, a respectable finish to this first half.
But at the same time, they're fortunate to get that one retake off, to be honest, because they could not find an answer for the first 11 rounds, it felt. Just getting back into this one through virtue of forcing Loud to make an overly aggressive play in the post plant.
Yeah.
7-5 means there is a massive weight on this pistol.
Massive weight, absolutely. Doug is standing by as well with some special guests for this upcoming halftime.
Thank you so much, Brent. Yeah, I'm actually sitting by with 2 dear friends, and Jonas and Jen. Guys, first off, what do you think about the venue? What do you think about the spot? Jen, I want to start with you.
Oh my God, it's my first live event. I'm freaking out. I'm not gonna lie.
So many microphones.
The way the bass hits when the guns shoot.
I mean, the crowd has been nuts.
I know.
Too. It's such a good turnout. Yep. Jonas, what about you? You've been to stuff like this. What do you make of the venue?
I've seen a few events before. No, I really enjoy this so much. First of all, like, the crowd is amazing. Obviously, the crowd is leaning very heavily towards a certain team, but you know, we're not gonna. Yeah. Team. Oh.
Yeah, dude, you fit right in.
Yeah, but the vibes are immaculate, dude, and it's so cool to actually be here at the venue to see everything happening live. It makes a huge difference, actually.
Well, I mean, you were mentioning the bass going nuts with the guns and stuff, and the crowd. I mean, you can just feel it. It's so much fun to get into. Give me thoughts on this series. We're 1 map in, half into another one, 7-5 in favor of Loud. Does Sentinels pull off the comeback? Are we going to map 3? What is it?
Just for the plot, map 3.
Oh, we can work that into the script too.
Yeah.
We'll just make sure.
Production, can we have a map 3? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. No, I think first of all, it's really cool to see how well Sentinels is doing, considering, you know, they're playing with a stand-in and everything, and that is, of course, very difficult. We've seen other teams do that in the past, and it's not always working well.
No.
They seem to be playing really well together. I'm a Sassy fan. I'm always going to be a Sassy fan. So no matter what team he plays on, that's the team I'm cheering for. So
Jonas is a saucy boy, confirmed. You have like 20 seconds. I need predictions very quickly before we go. Jen.
My prediction is that we go to map 3 and then we're gonna have an awesome game. Hold on. We made posters.
Yeah, guess who made which one? I totally made this one, I swear to God.
All right, we're going to throw it back to the desk, guys. Have some fun. Brent, it's all yours.
Let's get to it, yeah. Hopefully a map 3. I like that.
Who are Sentinels?
Sentinels, yeah.
All right. This is where the heat really gets turned up. Pistol round. Sentinels looked very coordinated on their attack side on Pearl, but it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. Loud just looks so coordinated with the way that they're using the Viper Harbor comp here. Like the Des was talking about earlier, it's only really them and Furia that are trying it. And they kind of mastered it
Yeah.
It's been looking superb so far.
Part of the strength of this comp is it's a lot to adjust to. When you consider what Sentinels are dealing with, obviously. Rolls chopping and changing.
Oh, the push.
Hitting it on the head a lot, but this is a push all the way up behind the walls and a fight to be taken here, but a stun. It's a good reaction. Already all that space in Garage is taken, gained for them. Dealing with this Killjoy utility, and they're leaving that late backstab. That's Pancada as well, who's in that really far back position.
I mean, I think that's everything Loud were hoping for there, that Sentinels were in grass as they push down mid. But with the Garage player getting overwhelmed, as soon as Les dies, the round just looks very difficult for them.
It's, oh my goodness, a game of just cat and mouse. Pancada just trying to stay alive this entire time while the rest of the hit is wall going through. Oh my goodness, Aspas, his sole job trying to deal with this one, but his crossfire setup. Too strong, too potent. Last player left. Aspas just cannot claim his prize. He will not be given it. There's no easy shots. So hard earned, and he won't be getting it. Go for the knife as well. The disrespect shown to the final boss himself. You got to be kidding me. It really does feel like it's getting personal, Josh.
You do not toy with Aspas like that.
Over the knife?
Sentinels do not know what they're inviting upon themselves. Aspas, 17-8 currently. Looking on the defensive side. I mean, he's going to be picking up ops later on. We've seen how good his operator is usually. Sentinels are playing with something dangerous there.
But a pistol round for them.
Yeah, it's spectacular.
To set this one up on an even score line for 7-7. They'd love that.
Early faked pressure towards short there. Recon dart. The flash comes through. Absolute silence. Sentinels have not heard a thing. The turret shot in mid. So they have an idea that Les has to be somewhere around B. In fact, Les is in short with the rest of his team. Pushing up.
Oh my
Do they catch a timing?
goodness. It's all about this, isn't it? The quad push up. Backs to the wall. None the wiser, but finally, okay, the util's going to be spotting it. That's the Killjoy turret dealt with. Pancada aware that at least somebody's going to be pressuring that area. Spike going down. If they all want to be playing this from post,
Spike planted.
it'd be a hard task indeed to try and play this from the long angle.
Pancada needs help, and Marv is here.
Flash doesn't catch anything. Pancada does need help. Luckily, Sport's going to be there. There was an Anaswarm to push them back that was placed a little bit prior. Code in their face, trying to beam them down. The guns in their hands. Potential for it to get a little bit dangerous. You never know. But they've got to watch down, and they know at least one or two of the players is there.
Everybody on Sentinels looks so sharp today. On an individual form level.
One enemy remaining.
See what Les can get done here, playing that angle. Not much at all. So for surviving, and you're exactly right, Josh. It's Sentinels really do feel like they've woke up on the right side of the bed today. It's just on every cylinder firing off.
And doing the FPX buy here, 3 Bulldogs saved, 2 players not investing in the round means that Sentinels are going to have a very potent bonus. 3 Bulldogs, 2 rifles, coming up against Aspas with the operator.
Look at the money.
7-7, dead even. It's a very deep Viper wall, the kind that they run on the pistol. It might make Sentinels scared to take space over towards B.
A bit of a feign that they could be pushing and taking a bit of that A control from Sen. You could see that, but they were pushed back by the flash.
It's the same idea, actually, as what they did in round 14. Just an early fake pressure towards A, and they're going to end C. But the problem here is Aspas with the operator.
He's a demon on his angles. You have to be so careful with how you clear this one. On the high ground, it was jump peak!
What a trade!
Yeah, Second does well to get that one. Dash forwards with a smoke at the top. It wasn't an updraft, so Les should be aware that nobody's up top there. Moving forwards, and wow. Complete patience at work, and it's Les. This is his playground. Angry from the position, there was no follow-up there, and they know where the last 2 are, at least one of them. Beaming him down with the bullets. Mark dropped to 31 health.
Sentinels have still got to buy for the next round. This is their bonus, of course. But at the moment, no real damage done.
No.
The up can be saved. Aspas didn't die in an aggressive position. The spike is completely lost. And what a way to anchor that.
30 seconds left.
a big gap in the execute, not being able to clear that back plat position.
To see a bit of that evidence, that Sentinels, listen, this is a team that have chopped and changed with the roles, with the players. Not much time to practice, that's going to happen. But so far, it feels like, honestly, that raw firepower has been carrying them through, and we haven't really been witness to many of those moments.
No, in some sense, it's actually unfair of me to even expect that their executes would be looking decent. They've had 3 days of prep with this squad. But at the same time, the quality that they showcased on Pearl has made me expect a little more.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. And if Loud can find those pockets, the small areas where Sentinel's pugginess leaves holes, like, for example, maybe a mid-push with an op.
Now overpeaked by Sen before the turret's active, and look at Marv up to his own devices, just making sure that he can take any and all fights. That push by Sadak punished. Does that open things up now?
The recon dart used in Garage, but they didn't break the turret there, so it doesn't really feel like there's any Garage control by Sentinels. Less re-cleared.
Double pushed up.
I think Pancada spotted a rifle there.
He's backed away.
Yeah, he's holding it.
Yeah, he's holding for the repush.
This.
Is there going to be any call? Maybe not. Doesn't even need any help.
And Marv is on the world's longest lurk.
It's all over the place, isn't it?
Oh, look at that, though. Calling for the rest of the team to come back and meet him over on the seaside. Unless realizes that they've left a gap now that nobody follows up off the drone.
Does he re-clear this, though? Does he expect this? And I think the answer is going to be one that the Loud fans will like. And while give him a taste of his own medicine, why not hold the fire for just a bit of time, seeing if he can get the most out of it. Stars dropped down, though, in 2 years. Okay, no one in that one.
30 seconds left.
Marv looks so clean.
Like he's never left.
Now Aspas has the family heirloom. Just one operator getting passed down. That's a very nice round by Sentinels that works on the strength that Marv is going to bring to this team. He's extremely solid at being able to lock down one side of the map on his own, as you saw punishing Sadak with the push down C. And then he's also got great intuitive lurk timings.
And they really want to take this operator out. They've spotted the position of Aspas. Pushed up onto the corner. Util. Oh, not using it to clear him. He's pushed all the way up. He's got another dash active. Could make this quite expensive, quite pricey. Sentinels still want to try and take the fight to him. It looks like the answer is no. Corralled for now.
8-8. Dead even between these teams. Aspas might even feel incentivized to drop the operator to somebody else here, because Sadak can't buy, and Aspas is going to be hoarding the wealth if he has his knives and the op. Really was payback, this, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We just saw Les win around from almost the exact same position.
But Marv is that kind of player. Just ice cold. So many of these moments and timeout taken for Loud, you can start to feel the kind of pressure that's mounting here when it's so even. Map 2. The series has progressed in ways that we just could not have imagined.
Not in the slightest. And I think, in a weird sense, success during the Super Week is just going to cause even more confusion for Sentinels. What do they do? Do they try and keep this together? Is this just going to be a honeymoon period of them performing well? Who knows?
More coaches.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So, a very unusual but fantastic twist in the VCT Americas tale here, as Sentinels, with some odd changes after their most recent game, have become very competitive with the undisputed top team in VCT Americas. Loud became undisputed last week, in my opinion.
And they looked really good. I thought they were rock solid in terms of their understanding of how they wanted to take that previous match versus Furia. But in this case as well, over the course of the Americas, they have shown some weaker maps. They've dropped it to, perceivable weaker opponents. You can say that despite the fact that, Americas, a lot of these teams are trading maps against each other. So I did think that this kind of chapter of Loud being a little bit shaky was over with that win last week. But listen, so far they are being pushed to the brink.
Aspas, by the way, with 20 kills, more than double the next player on his team. Perhaps it's just a case of moving away from where he is on defense. If they get a sniff of where the operator is, can they go elsewhere?
Cosmic Divide, splitting up this C site. And Sadak now has to anchor this one. You can see the Viper Wall drop down, stun and a pull into the back, and he is separated from the rest of his team. There's no flood attempt, but well, it was just a bit of a fake and a bit of a pivot. Even baited me because the spike is nowhere close to C. And it seems that Loud have bought it.
But also the spike is not quite into A yet either. Cowan's not going to contest this, so Sentinels are going to be able to pull off a good fake. And not just that, they got the opening kill out of it too as Sadak falls.
That's being dumped into it now. We'll see if Loud can play this retake effectively. Util pushing all the way through, and it cuts up the site. A lovely cascade. Well, Pancada opens himself up a little bit too wide here, dropping down. The Hell players dealt with. Seeing the dart lighten them all up, but Sassy, what more can he find? One kill down. Finds a second, left alone. It's a 1v2. Oh my goodness! And he knows where Aspas is! Unbelievable!
We've seen so many moments like this from Sassy in this game so far. He has just been reawakened since moving back onto Initiator. He lives for these moments. The execute itself was gorgeous, but then playing off his recon dart to find one and winning a 1v3.
I thought I was done.
This flick onto Les.
Oh my goodness. It should have been done.
The bald grandfather of Brazilian Valorant strikes again.
Yeah. And that's a round that's going to hurt as well for the Loud players. Going to be thinking about that.
Doing his own former team like that as well.
Yeah, I know.
Knocking them down onto an eco. Marved is always going to be watching this. He's so diligent, but gives it up this time so that Sassy can be over here. And this looks like another fake. I mean, the drone is coming up C. Nobody around there. Sentinels are not actually taking space on the other side of the map just yet, but we can see that everybody from Loud has given A.
And Sentinels are currently worried as well about a bit of a potential stack with the weaker buy of Loud, you know, making sure that they keep all their players in one area. And they do have players here towards A. How are they going to be dealing with it? Dash for the dart doesn't see much. Well, Kawazin is on the angle. Marv dealt with, Les as well, still in the fight. This is a 3v3, and when Aspas has knives, you never know. Rolling Thunder pushed and committed out of them. So lockdown also gained as well. Not too sure if he earned that with the kill prior, but it's starting to increase the heat.
That is a weird Rolling Thunder for Def to have used. I think he'd love to have that to get back into the site now.
And it's getting dangerous. The Util's pulled out of them. One of the Nano Swarms already used. Aftershock as well. No one's even tapped this spike. There's still plenty of time. Pressure now. Sadek's trying to get on top of it. Pancada. Critical kill to get, but sticking it. Half off of it. Half on the defuse. What a flick from Sadak, and it's all down to second. A tap, a reload. No one's sticking this one. The orb goes down. Just trying to hunt down these players. Time! And just about earned. Clutch for second, but my goodness, was it close.
An anti-eco that gets far too sweaty there for Sentinels. I think Def a bit early on the trigger with his ultimate, and things almost went so wrong. I think the kill that Pancada gets onto Aspas in that battle down short, that defines whether or not that retake is winnable.
One enemy remains.
Well played by Zekken, keeping his cool. Wow. Loud is still in this. Aspas 22 and 12 picks up the operator again and takes it for a walk down long. I tell you what, the flash recon plays really have been working though for Sentinels. The coordination from Sassy and Def and the way that Zekken takes space off the back of that. It all looks like it's quite fluidly, intuitively coming together.
Yeah. They've been keeping it simple with the beginning of these rounds as well. Just same flash, same dart down into the bottom of A to threaten that they are taking that control. Now maneuvering elsewhere. That's one popped off deep here. Dash supplemented there. It's a fault line and an aftershock. Les really wants to punish this one into the corner. Well done. Town does get that kill. Lockdown's close. This is breakable. Reckoning's being used, and now it really is chaos. Thrown into the round. Snakebite into the corner. Seekers as well. It's anyone's game, and everyone's blind. Two left standing. Hunter's Fury being used. Tagged onto the player. Kill needs to be found here. Marv loses his fight, and it's all down to Sassy. But he just doesn't have the space. He can't push up in time. Loud of a retake. That was all over the place.
but actually really beautifully coordinated from Loud. Everything that they did there. The high tide. So they read that it was a B hit right from the beginning. There was 3 players ready to fight. High tide comes through, allows that Zekken to be killed as he goes for the plant. And then the retake with the Seekers, with the flash. It just puts so much extra pressure. And they even have that Viper wall, which is amazing for the B retake.
Yeah.
Because all the players deep mid, they can't do anything about it.
Too many layers of the smokes. You can't play that deep post plant.
Yeah, that from Loud looks as good as their Pearl B retake.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Maybe they just specialize in B retakes specifically.
Same position that Aspas played in the prior round, but he wasn't cleared out. He was playing here again inside the smoke. Oh, this is going to dissipate. Couple of seconds. The flash gets info. Aspas now knows he needs to be a bit more careful. A difficult shot to be taking. This peek on the angle, dash active, and he's out. Does he want to go again? Does he want to try and take another flick?
These are the moments where we've seen Aspas just run rings around his opposition.
And look at him. Confidence is boundless from this guy. Flash to try and repick there. That was to try and push Marv into a forward position, but it didn't catch onto Aspas.
I mean, the movement from Aspas is amazing, but the way that he works with Kawanzin's utility is also sublime. Sets him up for so many of these fights, pushing him back onto angles where he can grab the kills. I think Aspas has like 25 kills at the moment, maybe more.
So much freedom awarded to him. 3v5 for Sentinels with 35 seconds left. Hard question, but they are going to probably have to answer it with a save.
30 seconds left.
And finally, a bit of breathing room for Loud. But not in terms of the score, just in terms of the time here. They're going to be able to settle down, spend the next 20 seconds with almost a miniature timeout. Okay, what do we want to adjust? What ultimates do we have up? They're 1 away from Sadak, getting his Viper's Pit online.
10 seconds left.
Could be a difference maker. I mean, the A-Orb would be the easiest to play for, but
yeah,
doesn't seem likely. I don't think they'd want to disrupt their defensive setup.
10-10. Sentinels are 3 rounds away from delivering a 2-0 upset over the best team in Americas, undefeated up until this point. But at the same time, Loud have all the opportunities to come back. They've looked excellent in certain moments of this map. Their executes look fantastic. That retake looked incredible. Loud definitely have what it takes to, especially with the operator in Aspas's hands, start the engine really churning and get us to a map 3.
So knife's edge for either side. Pressure's going to be slightly higher for Loud, you got to imagine. On the cusp of potentially losing. It's a flash and a drone being used together. Hoping for some value with that one, but the drone does get broken.
And Aspas playing anti-flash at the beginning, swinging back onto the angle, means that kind of fake, it doesn't really work.
No.
Caution here.
Loud are not denied any information. Instantly pick it back up.
It's a big tool that's going to go missing. When Sassy uses a drone like that, it's one of the biggest tools they've got to try and find out where Aspas is playing, to try and work out exactly which area of the map they want to land on. That flash not getting any tags.
Yeah, it gives them bad information, doesn't it? Because Sentinels are sneaking up here.
And they've gained a lot of space. Still, Loud seem to be aware of it. Kawazin not willing to give it up. The stun across their feet. Tag onto the one of them. Wall over the top, round the side. Second gliding into the site. But half of his team trying to take this fight down, spraying it down. Lovely flash round the side. Kawazin easing the pressure. 2v2 picks down to it now. It is 2-on-2. 40 seconds remaining. Spike getting planted less. Up top of heaven. Looks down. Doesn't find the kill. It was almost granted to him. But now they know where one of the players is. Tucks into hell here. A difficult post plan to play for Sentinels, but Aspas retake this one with the operator. Has a dash still. Now active. And activated. Trying to take one on the fight. You can see how safe Pancada's playing, and it's all on Sassy to see if he can even get one here, but he's just not favored, is he? Still wins it. He's low with the Bulldog in his hands. Not the best weapon for the job, but down to that one-on-one. Quick tap at the feet. Spike not planted in this position for it. Turret watches it. Lus, he knows he has time, sticks it to half, buys him a bit extra, but doesn't win the fight. Pancada, a beautiful 1v1, brings it up to 11.
He doesn't miss a shot. He just doesn't miss a shot. What a beautiful thing to see Pancada and Les going head-to-head in the final moments there in that 1v1.
Spike down.
Pancada pulled onto Les's role, really, in his new team. Shows him how it's done. Big 1v1. Loud can still buy heading into the next, but Sentinels are creeping ever slowly forwards to this map win and what would be probably the largest upset we've had this season.
Gotta think. Despite the player quality that is on Sentinels, despite that peak of potential, they have had no time to try and acclimate and make sure that this roster is good. But they are upsetting all sorts of expectations. Still Loud, not done and dusted just yet. You see the Viper pit drop down. It's an interesting one. Blocks off part of the C site.
I mean, look at what would happen if you're an attacker trying to get into the site there. Sure, you might be able to get a plant down, but you could be swung at any time through any of those smokes or the pit, especially with Kawanzin's flashes. It just does not look appetizing.
It's a simple game plan by Sentinels. That early pressure's applied. Pankata pushed up in a forward position here, and he's got to be that backstab. Maybe somebody can get a pick or a kill. The Sentinels explore elsewhere, but Loud, they've got those protocols. These B hits, Loud are happy to retake on them.
The updraft there is a really nice idea from Zekken, seeing if anybody was playing in the C connector.
Seekers though pushing forward. Zekken now into the back, and this is the time to strike. Pankata beams it down. Down to the 2v3, 25 seconds left. Where's the spike going to be landing? Well, right on the floor. It's equalized down to that 2-on-2. And Aspas has got the angle watched for. Pankata, he's got no utility. He's playing Killjoy, but a spike is available to him, but has to try and dodge and duck and weave. Has the plan as well. The time pressure, he knows it's on him, sticking it. Does get it down now, but he's being swarmed on these angles. Updraft play, it's a high-low setup. Needs to find at least one of the fights. Nothing easy. And Loud scrape their way back.
11-11.
Oh my goodness.
I love the way that Aspas uses his movement whenever he's in these kind of situations. You will always see him updrafting, playing to just drag that solo player's attention, and the other one's the person you will need to worry about, right? Aspas is going to be running around, making as much noise as possible as Kawanzin gets the either trade or swing off the distraction. Sentinels take their final timeout in regulation, but I mean, we could very easily be heading to OT here in just 2 short rounds. Kaplan gets a chance to torture the squad again and see if they can come up with some kind of pivot. I think the big thing they'll be discussing right now is the economy, because Sassy sat there with 2650 credits. Zekken has 3000 no Blade Storm. It's not good out here. But at the same time, do you really want Loud a freer chance to get up to 12 and play for that OT? It's a tough call.
It is a really difficult ask. That's the decision that needs to be made. Play for that OT or not.
I've been bringing up
Aspas
and how well he's been playing. He's got 25 kills at the moment, but Sassy and Zekken are also sat at 22 apiece. And while we've talked a lot about how good Zekken's looked and how good Sassy's been in the clutch too, I just want to hit on it again. Putting Sassy on Initiator has made such an enormous difference.
It's such a good idea, isn't it?
I think he had something like 3 kills on the maps where he was playing Viper. And he just didn't look comfortable. You could tell that he does not enjoy playing that controller role. And now with Marv coming in, it's just freed up Sassy to be the beast that we know he can be.
That upper potential being met now, but time is ticking down. Decision is made. Money's being saved. It's a really weak buy here from Sen. Prior util being cleared out. Deep smoke as well. And an attempt by Loud. They really want to push through this one. Yes, they do. Pop flash play. A lot of opportunities for the anti-flash positions. Sen, they could be favored. It's 2-on-2 or 2-4-2. And Aspas is stuck. Smoke drop down. Drone's going to be tagging him out. Has to try and dodge and weave.
Does he play Sadak in?
Sadak. Oh, baited. He's given a freebie, but he is instantly traded. Aspas alone into the back, right into the side. It's all down to Sassy. Moving forwards, updraft the move on, and surely does it. Absolute disrespect to that movement of Aspas. The man is like just free-flowing water. He can't be stopped.
He's so incredible in those moments. As soon as Sassy misses the spray into the jet smoke, it's really over for him. Good luck hitting that. Wiggling around like an eel in the air.
But difficult to deal with.
Sentinels knew they were likely to lose that round. They took a timeout, they talked about it, they made a game plan for this, round 24. They can't allow games like this to slip away. Against Leviathan, it slipped away from them. Overtime on Split. Otherwise, that series could have been a 2-0 win for Sentinels.
Swarm grenade out.
Look at that. Could be looking at the final round of this map. Could be looking at that map 3. Loud want to take it there. Sentinel's going to be trying to earn their chance to go all the way to that OT. Drone clears it through, and this time looking like a full-on execute towards C. Cosmic Divide this time, keeping it simple. No fakes this time, although they've done it in the past. Hunter's Fury to try and offset. That's Sassy, making sure that there's no attempt of a flood back into the site. Nobody's going to push through that Cosmic Divide, but it gets a bit more difficult now. So how do you want to hold this post plant? Def has been completely split up from the rest of his team, and here's the reckoning. This is where it gets really tricky. Trying to anchor onto the site. Def's going to be that first casualty. Stunned up, second close into the corner. Seeker matching him, finding him. And it's down to a 2 versus 3. Marv's still alive, ready and waiting. Pancada needs one, needs a kill. Spam it down, spraying it down. He's the last player left, and he can't get onto the angle. It's Watchstop. Kills there, sticking it all the way. Loud have just about stolen it. And that's 13-11. Map number 3 is on the cards.
Well played by Loud there, securing the final round. The retakes did still look good, but my word, they've been pushed. They have been pushed. Another monstrous performance comes out from Aspas to be able to keep them in that game. There's so many moments there where it was very difficult for Sentinels to get through, but this series has given us far more than we had any reason to expect.
It's just ludicrous, isn't it? The ludicrous series. I mean, back and forth, pushed to the limits. And Loud have been pushed in the past, but we thought that era was going to be behind them, especially when everything's stacked against Sentinels. But nevertheless, it's going to be going to that map number 3, Josh.
I mean, map number 3 has so much to look forward to as well. Will we see Loud running their Viper kind of comps? Will we see them go back to their default kind of setup where they're running the meta with Kawanzin playing the Sova? Are we going to get to see Sassy v Kawanzin on Sova? Sassy played so well in this map.
How's
but
it all
not
going to be working out?
Not quite to be.
Not quite to be, but on a knife's edge the entire time. I mean, neither team taking a significant lead really is what it felt like for the entirety of this Haven map.
Yep. Every moment was back and forth, but Loud, I think, separated themselves by having those very, very solid retakes.
Wow. Time for a quick break, but when we return, the analysts will get us ready for that critical and crucial map number 3. Don't go anywhere.